starting on Monday, more regions of Ontario, including Hamilton, Halton, and York, will move into the COVID red zone. Toronto entered that red zone today, and this phase means different things for different businesses. Marina Imperio is the owner of 2 fitness studios, one in Aurora and one in Bradford, and they're called 9 Round Fitness, both of them in Ontario. She joins us now for more on how she's dealing with this, based in Aurora. So, Marina, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Natasha.
So when we say that your businesses are about to enter into a red zone, what does that mean exactly?
Well, for me personally and all the 9 Round franchises, it really doesn't mean a lot of difference. We put in place very strict protocols when we first opened up in July. So our original model was based on a drop-in center where you start around every 3 minutes. We've had to change that into scheduling times and then lowering the amount of people that we allow in our gym in order to keep everyone distanced and everyone safe to work out. So our numbers went from accommodating 18 people in our studio down to 6, and some of our studios are even down to 4.
And so are you still able to function? I'm trying to understand. And what does this do to the bottom line of your businesses?
Well, the bottom line is we can't accommodate the members that we have. So when we used to work at 100% capacity, we're now down to 40%. But that's not the big issue here. After the first lockdown, we lost a lot of members, not just my franchise, but a lot of the businesses in the fitness industry lost memberships throughout the months that we were locked down. When we were allowed to reopen in July, once again, consumer, their trust in us wasn't there quite yet because people still weren't understanding what COVID, the way it was spreading or what the future of COVID held. So we were struggling with getting membership up and running. Now, come September, we started to see a little bit of growth because people were starting to trust us again because the numbers weren't really going up. And then all of a sudden, we were locked down in October. And then once again, we are dealing with people lacking the trust in the fitness industry. People are, canceling their memberships or freezing their memberships. And now we're stuck in the position where we don't have enough money to sustain our businesses.
Do you think this is the right move for the province, considering how high the numbers are of COVID-19?
I don't want to say what's right or wrong. All I can talk about is the numbers and what we see in our industry. The unfortunate thing is that the fitness industry has been painted as the main source of outbreaks, and that's why we have suffered the greatest restrictions in our industry. And when the data was released a couple of weeks ago, it actually indicated that the fitness industry is one of the safest sectors that you can be in during a pandemic. Yet we continue to suffer the lockdowns and the restrictions while other sectors who are, have a lot of outbreaks going on aren't being affected. So, the fairness in that is just not there.
So what do you think would be a better solution? Not passing judgment saying this is right or this is wrong, but what do you think would be a solution in this situation?
So, blanket lockdowns or blanket restrictions aren't a viable solution, especially for small businesses. Perhaps looking at, instead of looking at regionally locking down or restricting, maybe we can go more local. Take a look at York region, where I'm in, for instance. The numbers where I am at in Aurora are very low. I think we just posted only 2 new cases yesterday, whereas places like Vaughan and Markham are posting a lot higher. So instead of locking down or restricting places in Aurora, maybe they can look at it more in a local setting. You can even dig even deeper and go maybe within the industry, store to store or studio to studio. I've been open now for, I think we're going on 17 weeks, and we haven't had one single outbreak come out of our studio. So why am I now having to adhere to further restrictions when what I was doing previously was working?
That's a really good question. So I guess the follow-up to that is, how long can you survive if you have to keep functioning at what you describe at 40% capacity? And if this level continues, if more and more restrictions come in, what options do you have?
Well, this is the harsh reality that all small businesses are dealing with right now. We can't survive. A lot of the small business owners within my own industry have been talking, and a lot of us aren't going to be able to sustain our businesses far past the new year unless we get some help from the government. We're still waiting. The government has promised millions of dollars to small businesses, and we haven't seen a penny yet, unfortunately. November 1st has come and gone, and rents were due, and a lot of us did not have enough money to pay. December rents are now, 2 weeks away, and still we have had no funding from the government in order to help with our operating costs.
So why is that? Because if we're hearing that there's support from the federal government and from the provincial government, and that they want to maintain the health of the economy, why is it that you're not receiving the help that you need, Marina?
That's a good question, and that's the question that we've been asking all along. Unfortunately, it just seems like when we're speaking with the government, it's a one-sided conversation. It's the government that's, mandating lockdowns and mandating restrictions and telling us what we need to do. However, no one's listening to what we need in order to sustain our businesses while we are complying with the government mandates.
What has this whole experience, shutting down the first time around, reopening, back into restrictions, the financial toll, the emotional toll, what has this experience been like for you?
Draining. It's very hard to admit that, our business model, our businesses are failing. It's heartbreaking. I have a family. A lot of small businesses, have their houses tied to their businesses, their whole life savings tied to their businesses, as we do. And if we can't, if we don't get any help from the government, then, we're looking at losing more than just our gym.
What do you mean when you say that?
What I mean is personally, my home is tied to my business, and we are faced with a decision. What is going to cost less? Continuing to have our business open, losing money every month, or taking a one-time hit and closing our shop for good.
I hope it doesn't come to that. Marina, I wish you a lot of luck. I wish all these business owners so much luck. I know everyone's in a difficult situation right now. Thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course, please.
So, look, I'm not denying that we are in a pandemic, and I'm not denying the severity of what is happening, not just in our community, not just in our province, but in the world. But shutting down small businesses and restricting access to certain facilities is not going to kill the virus. It's just going to kill small business.
Okay. I'm glad we gave you the extra time for that. Thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you so much.